There comes a time in one's life when everyone has to do something like this, and it's very dreadful. It's also quite unfortunate that in my case, I have to do this to two of my entertainment colleagues. At the beginning of December, the DC comedy community lost Ken Watter, also known as DC's funniest tax accountant. I knew Ken as not only a great and funny comedian, in fact, I actually thought he was funnier than me, but he was also my accountant. He handled a lot of my comedy expenses and comedy income and showed me what deductions I can take and all that hassle and all that bullshit that I really didn't want to do. So he was a very good friend in many aspects. He was not only a fellow comedian, not only my accountant, was also a fellow sports fans. We went to a lot of Washington Wizards games down in D.C. together, and we also attended quite a few games at Oriole Park at Camden Yards, where he would often rib me about how bad the Orioles would do. And rightfully so, because most of the times we went there, they would have very bad seasons. I will also remember Ken for something very remarkable, about a transformation he made in his political views around 2016. I knew Ken as a loyal Republican. Of course, I worked for various Democratic candidates, locally and statewide here in Maryland over the course of 10 years. So he and I would often have very frank, very serious, but often very civil political discussions. In 2016, he had a conversion. He saw the kind of candidate that Donald Trump was, and once he won and once he started enacting some of his policies, he realized he was not only not able to vote for the top of the Republican ticket, but also not able to support Republican candidates altogether. He shared his conversion on an episode of this podcast in late 2021, an excerpt of which I will play right now. Reason why I wanted to have you on for this particular episode is because I know you and I have talked. We've known each other for a long time. In the past few years, you've undergone somewhat of a political conversion. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, I was a lifelong Republican. I voted for every Republican president since Reagan, every single one, except for Trump. And it was interesting because the Hillary Clinton was the last person I would ever consider voting for in my life. Couldn't stand her. Couldn't tolerate the thought of her being in public life, never mind being president. But because the opponent was him, she slided down to the second worst person I could ever vote for. And so I stood in the polls, and it took me like 20 minutes just to stare at the ballot. And then I finally pulled the lever and went home and cried in the shower. I said, I figured my choices are basically, do I tread water in the cesspool for 4 years, or do I play Russian roulette with half the chambers loaded? And I figured it was too big a risk. So 4 years later, I said, you know what, I was right.
You feel okay about that decision?
Oh, yeah, it was the right decision. And I stayed Republican because I said, this is temporary. He's here, he's gonna be gone, and we'll get back to things. Because mostly for economic policies, military policies, I'm much more right wing than left wing. But for social policies, I'm much more left wing than right wing. But but it became evident that it was not going to get better quickly, or even in the short run. And when they got rid of Liz Cheney for basically telling the truth, I said, I'm out.
I think the big thing that was brought up is that once Trump was elected, like the consensus was that, he'll be president, but at least he'll be pliable. He'll be easy to mold. Like it'll be easy to go ahead and go along with certain policy decisions. But it ended up backfiring on the rest of the country and going to the Breitbart universe and the Newsmax folks.
Well, I thought he would do what Reagan did or what George Bush did, and basically surround himself with competent people and just say, and just let them really do the detail work and be the figurehead. That's not what happened. So, it really did backfire. But I think a lot of people were, they liked the show, they liked the stated policies, but and they figured competent people would handle the details. But the competent people just kind of kept dropping out of the picture.
So the DC comedy community lost a very funny comic and a good friend in Ken Watter. Sadly, later that same month, the Baltimore comedy community lost an entertainer of a different sort. Jeremy Woodworth was a lot of things. He starred in a lot of films, he was a very talented and multifaceted stage performer, and he also had a knowledge of movies that was unparalleled. He could pull out references to movies that I had long forgotten. He could make connections to those various references and various connections to movies in ways I have not seen anybody be able to replicate. I knew of Jeremy through his brother, a very funny comedian by the name of Erik Woodworth, also a good friend of mine. And together, the three of us did a couple of episodes of their podcast, Quality Time. It's interesting to note that I taped 2 episodes, but we somehow stretched it out into 3. The reasoning for which boggles me to this day. I also learned that in addition to being a movie buff, Jeremy was also a songwriter. In fact, he also wrote 3 songs about me, which I will go ahead and play for you here. These were from 2 different episodes of Quality Time.
By the way, if you could say one of your most ashamed of joke or your worst joke, what would you say it is?
One of the worst ones?
Yeah.
See, I've blocked out the worst ones. I think
because what if somebody made a song about it?
I wouldn't say it's I wouldn't say. I think it's one of his better jokes. If I'm going to be honest with you, Jeremy made this little. Hit
I think
for
I'll go
you.
ahead and hear I'll just go ahead and hear the song.
Throw this on. Here's Jeremy Woodworth's tribute to. Well, Jeremy made 2 songs for you, so I hope you're ready. First, probably should have played this earlier.
Strap in.
Here's his song, King Myers.
That's it.
Okay, there's King Myers.
I want that playing over my casket at my funeral.
Yes.
Like, you know how in the Gaza Strip, all the Palestinians, they go ahead and lift people up on coffins. I want everybody to do that with my coffin, and have that song playing in the background.
Except it'd be 100 guys almost naked, except for gold speedos singing the background. So
Jeremy's got one more hot take for you.
This
I hope you're ready.
is one of your better jokes that we love.
Get ready for the other
Strap
Jeremy Woodworth.
in.
Bone transplants. Bone transplants. What did she get? Bone transplants. Bone transplants. What did she get? Bone transplants. Bone transplants. What did she get? Bone transplants.
Interesting thing about that bit, like that's the
just the water sounds at the end. That's the water sounds.
Just
a little bit more bong water there.
That was the first episode from 2018, and now here's one from just a couple of years later.
And we have a special guest today, returning to the show, and one of our most downloaded episodes of all time, the great Tom Myers, and we do have a special introduction for him.
Greatest comedian of all time, Tom Myers. Witness the funny. What makes him the greatest comedian of all time? Yeah.
Okay, there you are.
You didn't get to the best part of the song.
Okay, should I pick it back up, Jeremy? I'll take you to
just 20 seconds more is all I ask.
For the great political knowledge and prowess, yes! No! Do you know what it is? Because he's not gay!
Okay, I got it. Because he's not gay. Okay, that's
all the joke I wanted to get into this program.
You took us on a long ride right there.
That was one more joke than you did the last time I was there. So kudos.
Got his ass. Fuck yeah, Tom. Slanging rocks tonight. Well,
I'm only saying that because we're separated by fiber optics.
Yes.
So if I was in there, I would have been too chicken shit to make that comment if I was in the same room, to be perfectly honest.
Oh, well, if you were in the same room as Jeremy, you'd be getting devoured by the rats that have overtaken his house. So you're in luck.
Well, my main wrestling move is where I get you in a headlock and then just scratch my skin into your face. So. Which usually leads to vomiting. So
good old wholesome family entertainment.
I call it the Parmesan arm lock.
The Parmesan arm lock, classic move by Jeremy P. Woodworth. Jeremy, your horrible psoriasis, it never ceases to disgust me. Thank you.
It's comedy gold.
It is.
So that was the magic. That was Jeremy Woodworth. So Ken Watter and Jeremy Woodworth were two very different performers, two very different regions of the DMV area, as we call it, but both of whom I will greatly miss.